Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and this is part two of a series that I'm doing on being assertive. For those of you who missed the previous broadcast, I really would recommend that in your own time to seek it out and actually watch or listen to it as you go for a walk or go running or whatever, just so you can understand how important this morning the broadcast that I did at lunchtime was all about things that happened to me in terms of trying to sign some contracts and things, and where I needed to be assertive and stop the process because I wasn't feeling comfortable about things that were happening. Hi there, Jodi and Isabel. So if you can go and check that out if you haven't seen it already. And we stopped sort of like in the middle of nowhere because for some reason, um, hi Marie, what happened was that the broadcast was just suddenly shut down. I believe it was a Chrome problem from what I can see, but I did manage to save the video eventually. The funniest thing was it just kept playing and I couldn't turn it off. When I went back in to try and turn it off, it wouldn't let me turn it off. It just kept doing the circle of death. If you remember that one. Patient like a circle, but it was like 2 hours later, it was still doing patient like a circle. So eventually, after about 3 or 4 hours, I managed to work out how to get in there. What I actually did was I set up a test broadcast to force my computer to start up again on another broadcast. And that's what I think stopped it. So thanks for your help there, Jodi. As usual, you did a great job. And I learned something new. So we ended up at a situation where Jodi was talking about that she has a lot of problem when people are rude to her, or what she believes that they're being rude, is that she hears it and then freezes. Just inside, she goes numb. And I'm pretty certain that she's not the only one. So, Jodi, what I thought I'd do is I would help you because I know you're a very generous person to others. So, I'm going to help you by getting you to help me. And then I think by doing that, you will find that you have got more answers for yourself. Would that work for you? And, because I think that the point that you made is so relevant, but I also know that how these things work. Okay, so Jodi, let me ask you a question. And by the way, everybody, we're doing this around selling my house. So, Jodi, let's presume this is my realtor and this is me. Okay, let's say that they say to me, and they're not going to, but let's just pretend that they say to me, well, this is a really good offer. You need to take it. Do I have to take it, Jodi? This is about making sure that we understand our rights. So regardless of what the right, so we agree that regardless of what the offer is, they can suggest that I take it, but I am the one who decides. Do you agree? So do you understand that the process, I'm trying to take off a top. Okay, I can't do it with one hand. Arthritis got the better of me. Okay, so do you agree that my job, they sent the arrow, agreed? My job is to think about that and then take that thought and send it back again. I don't have to do anything. It's my choice, right? You've really got that one. So do you agree? This is the part that's going to come into me. I'm going to think about it and then I'm going to answer. What is happening to you? Oh, that's Beth saying that. Thank you, Beth. What's happening to you, Jodi, is you hear it and it gets stuck on the hamster wheel. So let me ask you, Jodi and Beth and Isabel and Maria and everybody else here, what sort of things, let's presume that that's what I hear. We've got a really good offer. It's only, this much less than our asking price. I think you should take the offer. What do I need to do? I need to take it and think about it and come back. So Jodi, what sort of answer could I come back with if I've decided that I don't think that it's the right offer? So let's see if you can find some words for me. And by the way, the rest of you, feel free to type in what replies you think I should give if what I hear does not sound right to me. Because there are so many different answers to this. And I just really do want you guys to work through some of these so you're not caught with it. Beth, I really was so pleased to hear you say that you actually said no when you were being asked to do something recently. I'm so proud of you. All right, so Marie, you're saying, please tell them I have another person interested who's bidding a higher price and see if they go up. Now, Marie, you don't know enough about me. I would not be able to say that. Hi, Nana. I would not be able to say that. And do any of you know why I would not be able to say that particular line? Jody's saying, let's continue accepting offers. I feel this may not be the one. Yes, that's a good one, right? There's no nastiness about it. There's no antagonistic, which is thank you for bringing me the offer. Just doesn't sound quite right at the moment. Let's see what else we get. Jodi knows why I couldn't say that, because it's not true. Unless I had another offer, I could not tell that lie. I'm certain there are a lot of people that could, Isabel, but not me. I could say, thank you for the offer. I'm going to continue to accept offers for another week. And at that time, I will make a decision whether or not to accept your offer. You know, that would be true. I could say that. All right. Now, what if they say, okay, well, we got an offer from a client, from a buyer, and they offered you, but it's 50,000 below the price that you want. You know, for you guys, how much below do you think you would accept? You know, from your starting point. So part of this whole thing is to know your boundaries. Does that make sense? I need to know what is my cutoff price. If somebody comes in with an offer 100,000 less than I'm asking, what am I going to say to that? You know, and I'm probably going to tell my realtor not to bother wasting their time or mine with that. But you know, it's just like I need to know what my bottom line is. I don't have to tell my realtor what it is, by the way. Does that make sense, Jodi? It's not something I have to discuss with them. I just need to know it for myself. So, Jodi, let's take this as a different situation. Let's say that somebody says to me, well, I'll give you an offer, but you have to fix the shed and the plumbing before I'll do the deal. Do I have to take that offer? And do I have to fix the shed and the plumbing thing to do a deal? I just want to make sure we're all talking the same language here. Because it's really important that you understand that this stuff is going to come at me hard and fast very quickly. For those of you who've ever sold a property, you will know that this is not a hamster wheel. This is a dirty great Ferris wheel on steroids. So, right, good. Nana's saying, no, I don't have to do anything, right? Well done, Nana. I don't have to fix anything. I need to declare it, but I don't have to fix it. Jodi's saying, if I want to accept the offer and those are their terms, then yes, but I don't have to do it. You know, you understand, we're talking about assertiveness. It's not about what they want, it's about what I want. By the way, when I purchased this place 20 years ago, there was a piece of the back fence that had fallen down, and I had Buddy in those days. I think Nana will remember Buddy and maybe a couple of other people. I'm not sure, but Buddy came before Bean Bean. And Buddy was an absolute camera hog, right? as well. Actually, both Buddy and Bean Bean were really wanted to see the people I was talking to on the camera all the time. Anyway, so here's the thing. I do not have to accept anything. So the fence, there was part of the fence that was down. I said, I'm prepared to pay this much, but it is on condition that the back fence is fixed before I take possession. Now, the reason for that was very logical. I have a big dog and I needed to have a secure backyard. So if they wanted to accept my offer, then they needed to consider, getting that fence fixed, which they did. They accepted the offer based on that one condition. All right. So now, Jodi, do I have to be nasty? This is what I want you to understand. Because what happens is when somebody says something to you, Jodi, that's nasty, you go into freezer mode up here because you cannot believe somebody could say that to you. And so what I want you to do is to understand that you don't have to be rude. You don't have to do anything except give yourself time to get out of frozen. Now, do any of you relate to what I've got to stop putting the caps back on? I so instantly put the caps back on so that my pens won't dry out. But of course, I can't take them off with one hand. So, Jodi, here's what I want you to think about. Let's say this person says something to you and you freeze. Can you remember how you felt when you went numb? Did you feel abused, insulted? Give me an emotion that you felt. Right. So Maria's saying her father always taught her to kill with the kindness. Yes, and I'm going to talk about that. They can be as rude as they want, but always be the bigger person and be kind. That's Michelle Obama's theory, right? If they go low, we go higher. So, but I want to first of all help Jodi get out of frozen, because she needs to get out of frozen before she can be kind. Kind is her natural way. But what happens to her is somebody says something that is rude and she gets taken aback. That's what she's saying, a bit in shock and sad that anybody would say such a thing, right? So, Jodi, to give yourself time to unfreeze, here's what I would do. I would send the arrow back to them exactly as they said it. And I would say something like, gee, I'm sorry, I thought I heard you say I am a waste of skin and a useless piece of life. Did I understand that correctly? All right. But don't say it in a sarcastic way. Do it, literally do it from a place of interest, trying to understand. I just want to check whether that's what you said before I answer you. I want to make sure I got it right. All right. Now, the reason I recommend that, Jodi, is that you get the problem out of your head and back to them, right? The ball is now here. All right. It's not with you. The ball is now over here. So always think about, how do I return this as a question? Right? That's the first thing. And that's to give you time to think. Because 9 times out of 10, it buys you that moment of regrouping. So 9 times out of 10, they're going to go, well, yeah, but it wasn't quite what I meant. And you go, oh, thank goodness for that. Right? You get to be the nice person. For example, I'll give you an example, Jodi. I had, when I was in business one day, I had a client phone me up and I cannot tell you how angry he was. And he called me and the business I was in every name under the sun. And I want to tell you, he did not work on YouTube and filter anything. Right? He called me all the 4-letter words there were to be called, and some of them were really gross. And he was that angry. But what he didn't know, Jodi, was that I took shorthand in those days. And I literally just wrote down absolutely everything he said verbatim being exactly as he said it. I was taking it down in shorthand. And then when I just let him carry on. I didn't try to interrupt him, didn't try to correct him. I just let him carry on. And when he eventually paused for a breath, I said, no, don't stop. What else is upsetting you? And he went, what? And I said, I can hear you're really upset. So while you're at it, tell me what else is upsetting you. What else do you want to get off your chest? And he took another deep breath and he went, and I went, okay, fine. And meanwhile, I'm busy taking notes. And I'm not joking. He carried on for a long time, Jodi. But you understand, as long as he was talking, I haven't got the problem. Does that make sense? And that's why I kept getting him to talk, because I needed him to clear that garbage out of the system. All right. I needed all that to be gone. And then, I'm not joking, it must have taken 3 to 5 minutes, Jodi. It was an incredibly long time. And eventually I said, and he said, I think that's enough. I said, okay, if you're sure, but feel free to interrupt me if you need more. And I said, let's go back to the very beginning. Now, you understand his worst language was at the very beginning. And I said, I happen to take shorthand. So this is what I heard you say. I just want to make sure I took it down correctly. Is it true that I am a waste of skin, a useless person, and an idiot, and da 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 da? And the guy just about died. He said, please tell me I didn't say that. I said, actually, sir, I took it down in shorthand. That is exactly what you called me. And he said, I am so sorry. I said, okay, fine. Let's move on then. So I literally just got off all that stuff. And then I said, then I heard you say, blah, 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 blah. And he went, no, we'll forget that as well. And I said, okay. And I literally came back with every single thing he'd said. And about 10 bits in, it was, I understand. I understand basically this is about the fact that you didn't like what happened to your advertisement this month. Is that correct? And he went, yeah. That's the base of it. I said, okay, do you want me to sort of nuke a lot of the stuff that went, that is really the point, am I right? And he went, absolutely, that's the point. And I said, good, what would you like me to do? You see, Jodi, another question. Because the truth is, I kept giving it back to him. And he said, what? And I said, what would you like me to do? And I said, and he said to me, I'd like a free ad. And I said, just one? He said, what? And I said, I just want to check. Do you think what we did is, that you should get one or more than one? And he said, well, I'd like more than one. I said, yeah, but I said, you sound like a fair man. What do you think? Well, I said, I'll tell you what, why don't you leave that to me? And if I can make it more than one, I will. I said, by the way, I want you to know how sorry I am that this happened to your advertisement. So what I'm going to do is not only give you the one, but I'm going to take your ad and I'm going to blow it up to half a page. What? I said, I'm going to blow it up to half a page. I can hear how upset you are, and I want to make sure you know how sorry I am that this happened. Oh. And I said, and by the way, because you have been good enough to drop so much of what you started with, which took a lot of character, I'm going to give you a bonus. And he said, a bonus over half a page? And I said, yeah, I'm going to drop in some color for you. He said, you're going to put color in my ad? I said, yeah. I said, I can hear you're really upset. So why don't we do that? And I did. And by the way, I didn't give him one, gave him 3. Now, he probably expected to get one free ad, the small one that he wanted. And, here's the bottom line to this one. And you've heard me tell this before, I'm sure. But what happened was after 3 ads, I phoned him up and I said, George, do you think I've paid sufficiently for the error that we made on your ad? And he went, yeah. I said, okay, fine. So I'm sending the rep round to see you to redo your contract. And he went, and then he used a not too polite word. And I said, are we starting with those words again? And he said, no, but I now know what you did. I said, what do you mean? George? And he said, I've had 3 ads with color. Hi there, Andy. I've had 3 ads with color, right? And they're half a page. And I said, yes. And he said, are you sending the rep so that I can sign up for another 1/8 of a page? I said, I don't know. That will be your decision, George. He said, you know, I can't go back to 1/8 of a page anymore. And I said, no, George, that will be your choice. I don't know what you can or cannot do. And by the way, he didn't go back to 1/8 of a page. He really liked the half a page with color, and he signed a new contract. This is from him abusing me, Jodi. All right? So the main thing is when anybody attacks you, all right, then whenever you can, send the arrow back. Do you get the process? So Jodi, let's go back, and can you remind me? I think if I got it right, the one that we're talking about is the nurse who said, "What are you going to do when Lionel isn't around?" Right? That was one that I know triggered you really badly. So what I want you to do is imagine that you just heard that. Jody's saying, that's a miracle, unless you're Sal, and then it's just another day. All right, so imagine you've this comment that was made to you that day was 3 months ago, as far as I remember, maybe a bit more. So you've learned a lot since then, Jodi. So now then, if you heard the comment, well, what are you going to do when Lionel's not around, when your husband's not around? All right. First of all, ask a question immediately. All right. And what is the first question you're going to ask? Even if you're frozen, you can do this. Right? The easiest question you ask is to check whether you heard what they said correctly. And that's a really good thing to do because it takes it out of your mind and feeds it back to them. All right? So do you think you could do that, Jodi? All right. So Jodi's saying, I'm hearing you ask what I'm going to do when Lionel isn't here. And then I would say, did I understand you correctly? And by the way, don't do it. Don't, now, Jodi. 2x4 coming, Jodi. Are you ready for it? I always ask before I do a 2x4. It's a really important one, Jodi. Yeah, that's why I'm about to ask you the next question, right? Jodi's saying, my horns will pop out. Yes, keep the horns in. Do not go, did I just hear you ask me what I'm going to do if Lionel isn't around? Don't do that. Don't do that, Jodi, because it just pushes them and they'll push back, all right? Just go, hey, I'm really sorry. Yeah, I'm a little hard of hearing, so I just want to double check. Did you just ask me what I'm going to do when Lionel isn't here? And, feel free to have a little cry. All right? So you understand, Jodi, if the horns come out, you have lost. They controlled you. I want you to stay being Jodi. And Jodi is a nice person. She does not get triggered by idiots. And that's a judgment. There would be tears. Yes, if you were being authentic to yourself, there would be tears. And by the way, you wouldn't have to conjure them up. You would just look. I've got tears even thinking about it. All right. You just look at them and go, did you just ask me how I'm going to cope when Lionel isn't around? And what is she going to say? Well, yeah. And what if you totally disarmed her, Jodi, and said, that is such a kind thought. I know that you're coming from a good place. So you want to know, how am I going to cope when he isn't here to help me? Is that right? How kind of you. which is taking the best possible interpretation of the foul thing she said. Do you get it, Jodi? If instead of seeing her as the witch from wherever, that you could actually see her, that it actually came from a good place, she would have fainted. Yeah, and you would be smiling inside going, nice one, Sal. Does that make sense? But do you understand who has control of this conversation, Jodi? If you do that, who ends up feeling great about themselves and who ends up not feeling? Yes, she was out to hurt. I believe she wasn't having, that she was having a bad day. Yes. And by the way, I've had them in my time as well. But do you understand that you get to keep your control and your integrity? So I need you to remember, before I react, let me remember I am a really kind, generous person. And I'm going to take this to be kind and generous somewhere at its core. I just need to find out where. Makes sense, honey? All right? So now she can call you absolutely anything she likes next time. And all you need to do is to say to yourself, what if this was actually that she did care, but she just worded it badly? So I'd say, I just want to check if I understood this correctly. Sorry, I just managed to nuke the screen I had here. I hate it when I do that. So remembering that the role that we have. All right, so Jodi, let's think again, and Beth and everybody else that's listening. So here I am about to sell my home. What if all the realtors come through and say, well, it's a nice enough home, but if she did X, Y, and Z, it would make it a better price or a better whatever. Do I have to do X, Y, or Z? Just because other people think it, does that mean I have to do it? No. Now, I heard one thing said when I was sitting down, other than the ones I told you about at lunchtime. I heard one thing said, and it actually rang a red flag in my head. Do you know what I mean? I heard the answer and I thought, I wonder if that is the truth. And, it was interesting because I queried it and I heard an answer, and something inside me wondered whether that was a truthful statement. So, what I'm going to do is when I sit back to do the next part, I'm going to revisit that question and say, you remember I asked you X, Y, and Z, and you gave me this answer. Is that a truthful answer? I'm going to call it for what it is, Jodi. That doesn't mean I'm being nasty. I just want to check, because it makes a difference to the deals that I do, all right, or don't do. Does that make sense? So anytime I don't feel totally comfortable, or anytime I feel that I may be being even accidentally misled, it is my responsibility as a human to not go with it. All right. And so that is why I just need to find this quote that I had, because I had a really great quote here. And I just want to find it again. And that's not it. All right. And it just, something, maybe I had it on my computer screen. Just bear with me 1 second. I did. Okay. So now I've just got to manipulate my screens. All right. So Jodi and everybody else listening, do you understand that as I go through the coming months, and Nana knows about this because she went through a buying and selling of a place recently. When I say recently, in the last 5 years. Here are the things that I need to remember. All right. I need to remember that I have the right to be responsible for my own actions. So whatever is said to me or whatever I disbelieve, do you understand that I need to stay responsible for my own actions? And as we all know, I am not responsible for the actions of anybody else. If, for example, I was accidentally told a mistruth, that is not my responsibility, it's theirs. So I just need to double check that what they said was the truth. Do we agree? I have the right to make mistakes. In other words, I have the right to say that this price is acceptable to me and then change my mind if I feel that I need to. And by the way, will I be judged for that? For sure, but that's not my business. All right? My business is to make sure that I stay true to me. Now, I also need to stay open-minded. Would you agree? I need to be able to say, I hear you on the price. Can you tell me why you think, what's going to happen is they're going to put it on the market at a certain price. And if we don't get any bites at that price, then within 2 weeks, they will ask me to drop the price. And, it won't be a small drop, it'll be a significant drop. So I need to be really clear that I understand that, which I do. I also need to be really clear how far I want to drop. And that is my choice, not theirs. They can suggest I drop this much. I don't have to. But I also have to be cognizant of how the market works. I do, you're quite right, Nana. I also have the right not to drop the price. Right? So that is my decision. All right. Nana's saying that her house sold within 2 weeks. All right. And that is awesome. I am so happy for you. And, this is like, I am, but I also know that you kept a really great house and that I am certain everything was up to scratch. My house may be different, Nana, right? So mine might take longer. Mine is not a standalone house. Mine's a duplex. So it's not really apples and apples. So I'm hoping that mine will sell fairly quickly, but we'll see. And so I do know that what happened in your case may not happen in mine. All right. I want to be grown up enough to know that even your friend down the street you were telling me about, that their house sold almost overnight. Yep, it might not happen with mine, right? Because they're different sorts of properties. Do I have the right to be myself? In other words, do I have the right to ask a lot of questions? Do I have a right to need things repeated 16 times? All those sort of things. Yep. All right. And by the way, do they have a right to that as well? Do they have the right to make mistakes? What do you think? If we're saying it's okay for me to make mistakes, is it also okay for them to make mistakes? I just want to see if we're clear on this. For example, if what I heard wasn't actually true when I double check it, am I big enough to say, hey, I understand why you might have said that, not a problem. Let's just deal with the reality now. And by the way, I'd like to change that, that entry. It's going to require a lot of paper. If they make mistakes, they could lose money. Yes, but this is before I've signed on the dotted line. This is in the process at the moment. So that's why I'm busy. Yeah, they lose money and so could I. But I also know that they're not perfect people. Doctors make mistakes, lawyers make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. And so do I have the right to be treated with respect? Jodi, this is your right. I want you to understand that. All right? Nana's saying that when they make an offer, they have to leave a deposit. Yes, I understand that. By the way, who gets the deposit? I don't. um, so, what I want you to understand is, Jodi, you have the right to be treated with respect. And so anytime, your nurse lady is rude to you in any way, please do not lower yourself. All right? Please do not lower yourself to be on their playing field, which is why you freeze. You don't want to say what you're thinking. What I want you to do is not give them the joy of thinking they have won this one. I want you to make sure you call it for what it is and do it nicely. It's because not only do you deserve to be treated with respect, but so does the rude person. It's probably because people have not treated that person with respect that they're rude. So it's okay to query it and to check that you got the right info. And it's okay to say if you're feeling frustrated, or to say if you are, feeling a little bit attacked by it or whatever. It's okay. Right? And it's okay for them as well, as long as we see it's both sides. Do you have the right, Jodi, to express your feelings, thoughts, and opinions? Yes, okay. Nana's saying she went to an art store today and they had a demo on resin painting, pouring. Yes, Nana, which is a little bit off topic, but I'm glad that you did that. And I'm glad that, as I said to you, it does look like glass when you do it. I actually didn't use resin. I used something that is much easier to deal with and clean up, much easier than resin. Okay, and so I hang on a second. I need to get the right screen back because I need to be able to. I've come off my normal screen. Sorry, people. I'll get back to the subject in a second. So, Nana, this is not resin, but look at it. It also looks just like glass. Okay, and it's far easier to deal with. It's water-based. It's not resin. So I just want to tell you that that's why I mentioned it to you. But if you want to use resin, best of luck. All right, so before you left, you're going, Nana? Yeah, it does look like glass. It's amazing. It's absolutely stunning. Um, so you're saying you wanted to say it before you left? Soon. Okay, so let me say goodbye now. All right, so let us get back to the topic. All right, so Jodi, we were discussing about what your rights are, all right? So if you agree that you have the right to express your feelings, thoughts, and opinions, then they also have those rights, Jodi, all right? So be truthful with them and understand that it was just their opinion. You don't have to believe it, right? Here's the question for everybody, and I want you to understand this one at a very deep level. Do you have the right to say no and not feel guilty? Whatever it is you are being asked of, you will know that you have gained your assertiveness back if you understand that you have the right at any time to say no and not feel guilty about it. Remember, at lunchtime, we were saying that a lot of people don't understand that no is a complete sentence. You do not have to say no because da da da, or no because da 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 da. You don't have to justify it. Your answer is, we'd like to offer you this much, and I have the right to say no. It is actually more powerful to just say no. Do you understand the power of that? We were demonstrating that at lunchtime to actually just go, yep, I hear you, thank you, and just want to make sure I got it right. You're saying that they're offering da 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 da. Is that right? Okay. My answer to that would be no. No is a complete sentence. I want to tell you something for the women listening. One of the things that drives most men stark stirring bonkers is we do not give straight answers. As women, so many of us, not everybody, but so many of us, we spend so much time trying to justify why we gave, um, for example, they'll go, um, do you want beans? When I go to the store for you, do you want beans? We spend 20 minutes describing different sorts of beans. All right. And it's just like, yikes. Just, we think that men actually, see a lot differently from us. But quite honestly, if you want the right sort of beans, find a picture, take a picture with their phone so that they can look at it and go, okay, that's the one I want. They will love you for that. They don't want a 20-minute dissertation on the 45 makes of beans and what to get. Right? They want it to be simple wherever possible. All right, so how about this one? I have the right to feel and express my anger. What do you think? Do you think you have the right to feel anger and express it? All right, so Isabel saying yes, but once I asked for iceberg lettuce and he came home with cabbage. Yes. That would be an education moment, Isabel, which is very good. We'll be eating cabbage this week, coleslaw rather than salad. But let me show you the difference between iceberg lettuce and cabbage. Because they do look a lot alike. And the other thing you need to understand that's really difficult for most guys, Isabel, is they don't like asking for help. All right, and so I would encourage them to say, something, when you go to the checkout, you might want to just double check, is this cabbage or I'm actually here to get iceberg lettuce? It could save you so much embarrassment if you bother to stop and just ask that one question. If you're not sure, that's what tellers are for. They can help you with this. And, I'd love them to bits and say, okay, we're going to have coleslaw. Thank you so much. I would not have thought of that this week, but let's try that. All right. So do you have the right to feel and express anger? I would like to say you have the right to feel it. Wherever possible, don't express anger in an angry way. Do you understand what I'm saying? Wherever possible, you can say, I just got to tell you, I'm feeling really angry right now, and I don't want to react in anger. So I'm going to take 24 hours to think about this, and I'll come back with my answer tomorrow. No, but I need the answer now. Yeah, I'm sure you do. But I'm just telling you that I am feeling quite angry right now, and I do not wish to answer you out of a place of anger because I might say something I regret. So I'm going to give this 24 hours to think about it, and then I'll get back to you. And they can keep saying, but we need to deal with this right now. And I'm going, yeah, I understand that you need to. I don't. So therefore, I am going to be walking away from this for 24 hours. Be a broken record. Do not let other people suck you in to that. And sometimes you have to make it so clear to them that you have to sort of get almost. Do any of you know the word pedantic? You have to be so clear that I'm not sure what it is that I'm not communicating, that you don't get this. And so to me, it's like it's very different. And the other thing to remember is this, that a lot of our communication today is written. And when you read it, you might read it with anger, thinking it's angry when it isn't. So that's another thing I would double check. If you read something from somebody that you perceive to be angry, I would check, did you mean this to come from an angry place, or Did I just read it badly? Because 9 times out of 10, we misread what other people's intent is. And if you've ever done it, you'll know that that is true. And if anybody's ever done it to you, you will know that it's true. How about, do you have the right to do things that other people don't approve of? For example, do I have the right to sell my house and not even buy another one and take the money and go cruise the world for the rest of my life? Do I have that right? Will some people judge me if I do? I'm not going to do it, by the way. But will people judge me if I do that? Sure, but it's my life and it's my money. One of the wonderful bits of advice I can remember my friend, the lawyer, saying to almost everybody when they wrote a will, which is after they'd finished writing their will, he would say to them, now that you've written your will, go and enjoy your money. Don't save it for the children. You worked hard to get this money. Go and enjoy it. The children will be just fine. You need to trust that. And if they are waiting for your millions or whatever it is that you have got, then don't give them the pleasure. And I used to think that was such good advice because, it is your money. You don't have to give it to the person that everybody else seems to think that you should give it to. It's your money. You get to do with it what you please. And if you choose to give it to your children, don't get me wrong, that is wonderful. But you don't have to. All right? And so to me, this is like, I am certain that a lot of you, are in horror when people have left millions, to the local SPCA rather than give it to their children. But, maybe their pets treated them better than the children did, in which case that makes perfect sense. Now, here's another one. Do you have the right, Jodi, to have your needs be as important as the needs of other people? The need to be treated with respect being one of them. And I want you to really get this clear that, you do have that right to be treated with respect. So if this nurse happens to treat you with disrespect one day, it could be a bad hair day. But if this is a consistent behavior, then you do need to say something to her boss. Because you can be honest and say, something, the first time I heard a really hurtful remark, I sort of wrote it off as she was having a bad day, and we all have those. But, this is the third time that she has been what I consider to be rude to me. And I'd like to check with you whether you agree. In other words, you are coming from a place of, it felt rude to me, but I want to check whether you, her boss, think it is rude as well. Because if so, then maybe he needs to have a word about it. He might say, no, I don't see that as rude. And then you can go, okay, then I guess you won't be dealing with it. And I guess I've got to learn how to deal with it. But Jodi, I want to tell you that you have the right to have your needs be as important as anybody else's. And if it continues and her boss doesn't back you up, then you have the right to find another doctor if you can. You understand what I'm saying? The life is full of that is not being rude or nasty. That is having a choice. And that is part of being assertive, is to understand your rights. Remember, I was saying at lunchtime, I have a choice whether I stay in this online group that I am, on the internet. I have a choice. They are not controlling me. I get to choose whether I stay with them or not. And that to me, I mean, they can boot me out. That would be their choice. And that's okay. And I need to see that they have as much right to do that as, if I don't meet their needs, as I have the right to leave them if I so choose. I choose not to at the moment. So Do you have the right, Jodi, to ask why or why not? I want to make sure you're clear on this. And by the way, Jodi, if you want this list, hang on a second. Let me just put a star onto it right now so that I know I can get back to it. Easier said than done for me, as you know. What am I call this? Assertiveness. And if anybody else wants it, just let me know, and I will do what I can to get a direct link to you guys. Yeah. Okay. So, do you have the right to ask why? And by the way, if you think somebody has misrepresented something, it's okay to say, "Hey, I just want to double check. Did you just misrepresent?" You don't have to say lie. There are other words. Did you accidentally is a nice word to put in there, misrepresent this, or did you actually intentionally give me the wrong information? Most people will choose to tell you that they did it accidentally, even if they did it intentionally. That's human nature. And then you have every right to say, could you let me know why you did that? Now, Jodi, you and I probably I would be tempted to say why you thought did you think I was that stupid? Right? Leave that bit out if you can. The same way, did I have every right when I was going through that contract to stop when I got to, BC law 538, subsection 48.2, I had every right to stop right there and say, I'd like a copy of that law, please. If I'm signing something to say I am not in contravention of it, I need to read it. Where is it? Now, is it my job to go find it? I don't think so. I think if you're bringing me a contract that quotes it, then you should be supplying it. But I set the boundary. Unless you bring it to me, I'm not going to be signing this. Right? It's their choice. They don't have to bring it to me. But if they don't, I'm not signing the contract. Jodi, let me ask you, as somebody that I know you care deeply about, do I have the right to ask for help? And yes, and by the way, does the other person have the right to ask for help? Does the other person have the right to ask why or why not? You see, we need to make sure that we understand we have these rights, but so do other people. If you can be in the center of this, in the middle of this, and see both sides, then you are an involved person, and I'm proud of you. You have the right to ask for help, Jodi, at any time, and that doesn't make you weak, stupid, anything. It makes you need help. Jodi, can I tell you a story about being in the transport this week? Because I think that's really a brilliant example of where you actually were absolutely correct in what you did, and you did it with grace. And I think people would learn from it if you would let me tell that story. Dum, dum, dum. Okay. So Jodi, as some of you know, travels a lot in her wheelchair. It's the only way she gets to travel these days. So she's in her wheelchair, and she's in a wheelchair type transport taxi thing. And when she had done the trip, the driver said, okay, sign here and initial here. And Jodi, being smart, didn't just blindly do what she was told. She read what that initial here thing was. And the initial here said that the driver had correctly secured her wheelchair and made sure that she was safe for the journey. Now, the interesting thing was that he hadn't. And so what Jodi did is she just didn't initial it, she left it. And she signed at the bottom that that he had taken her where she was meant to go and done whatever. But she just didn't initial that he had done what he hadn't done. And he looked at it and said, no, 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 you forgot to initial here. And Jodi said, no, I didn't forget to initial it. You just didn't do it. So I can't initial it. And by the way, the next time she needed transport, she had a different driver who went out of his way to make sure she was properly secured and happy with the way in which she was secured. Jodi, I hope you felt proud of yourself. Looking after you was assertive, and you did it the right way. You had the right to expect to be safe, not that poor Lionel had to hold onto your wheelchair, with white knuckles, hoping that you didn't careen off the back of something. Well done. I'm proud of you. By the way, do other people have the right to ask for help? Yes. Let us not judge them just because you're good at it. I used to have this problem when I was working. I'm fairly good, with computers and things. Not brilliant, but I am fairly good. And so 9 times out of 10, you will find that, people ask, really idiotic questions of you, and you sort of inside you're going, what idiot doesn't know how to do this? Well, the truth is quite a few. And so what I would do is I would help people a couple of times, but if it felt to me, and this is the important thing, if it felt to me that they were using me rather than bother to learn, then I would tell them where to find the information. In other words, I have helped you out of this situation 3 times, and you are choosing not to learn it. Therefore, as of now, here is where you'll find that information anytime you need it. And I would send it in an email, and I would type it, information on how to do X, Y, and Z, so that they could find it easily just by putting that into their browser. So, very important to understand. There's a difference between being used and being useful. And Jodi, do I have the right, as I go through this next few weeks in terms of selling my home, or as Nana says, maybe 1 week, and it could be 6 months. You see, I'm not tied into any figure. You see, I'm tied into it'll take what it takes, and I will be okay. So, do I have the right to say I don't understand along the line? Maybe other stuff comes up that is, confusing to me. And it doesn't matter how smart I think I am. Is it okay for me not to understand some things, Jodi? Of course it is. And Jodi, it's okay for you to not understand it as well. And Jodi, what's very different, and I'd like to mention this, is it's okay for some people not to have the understanding that you have and the politeness that you have, or Isabel has, or Nana has, or Beth. Beth, you must struggle every day with why can't people see it like I do? Because you are so cut and dried about things, Beth. You either do it or you don't. I mean, it's just wonderful. You don't get it. It's almost what I call man thinking. You don't get tied up in all the nuances. You just do or you don't. And I think it's wonderful. But I'm certain some of people in your life just don't understand that about you. Hi there, Jamie. Good to see you. So do you understand that being assertive is not being rude? That's what I want to make sure you understand. Being assertive is not being rude. Being assertive is looking after yourself. And it's okay to look after yourself. It's okay to do that, people. Right. Has this made any sense to any of you? Please say yes. Now, this is a really important thing to understand. When you complain, you make yourself a victim. Leave the situation, change the situation, or accept it. All else is madness. Now, have any of you got anybody in your life that almost every time you talk to them, they're complaining about something? And have you got anybody in your life where their stuff, is more important than everybody else's stuff? So what if we, as a group of people, because we're working on emotional intelligence this year, what if we all understood that if we complain, we are being victims? Now, yeah, Nana's saying for sure she had to let go of a friendship because that other person complained so much. I have noticed, that some people seem to get more joy out of being a victim than they do out of being a victor. And it's, sometimes it gets quite frustrating for me, but most of the times I just understand that they're not in a place where they can see that yet. But you will quite often hear me say when people are complaining about, aches and pains, what did the doctor say? You've heard me say that many times. And the reason I do that is because really, if it hurts that much, what did the doctor say? And if the answer is I haven't been, then this is like, really? Then why are you complaining so much? It's just like, duh. So help people see that, if it'll go away. What makes you think that? Is that what the doctor said? Because I believe that the most famous 5 words said just before people died was, it'll be better soon. Or it's not that important, or, things like that. All right, how about this one, everybody? And I'm working on this one. All right, so Nana's saying some people are scared of the doctor. Are they scared of the doctor or what the doctor might tell them the truth is? Are they scared of the truth, Nana, not the doctor? Yeah. You see, and that's the point that I would say to them. You're not scared of the doctor. Don't blame the doctor. The doctor's job is to assess you and, to the best of your ability, tell you the truth. I actually had my doctor once, Nana, try and sugarcoat something for me. And I could hear him struggling to try and sugarcoat it. And I looked at him and I said, would you do me a really big favor? He said, what's that, Sal? And I said, could you just tell me like it is so that I can get it? Well, I didn't really want to say it. Yeah, but do me a favor, just say it. Because, eventually I'm going to have to know anyway. So why don't you tell me? It's just like, because what he's doing is he doesn't want to have me struggle. And it's like, you're going to make me struggle if I don't know what I'm doing. Jodi, listen to this one. Say what you mean, but don't say it mean. How about that one, Jodi? Now, that's not what you do, and that's why you freeze, by the way. I want you to know that, Jodi. The reason you freeze is you know exactly what you want to tell them. Probably would be 2 words, and one, it would mean go away, but not using those 2 words. So just understand that's why you freeze, because you know better than to do that. So then your mind just stops, because I don't know the polite way to say go away in 2 words that are not go away. So that takes a bit of practice. So I want you to start practicing and let us know when you start coming back with a question, right? You remember the arrow thing? Come back with a question. You'll be amazed how well it works. And 9 times out of 10, you don't have to say much more, quite honestly. So learning how to communicate effectively is a never-ending task, because every person and every situation presents itself as a unique challenge to achieving reciprocal, authentic communication. You see, your problem, Jodi, and I'm sorry to concentrate on Jodi, but she was big enough to talk about this at lunchtime. Jodi, your problem is that you want to desperately stay authentic. And that's why you end up freezing. All right. So practice a little bit. Here, I'm certain Lionel does it too every now and then, where he'll say something, you're going, what on earth is he talking about? And practice just taking a breath and saying, Lionel, I think I heard you say this, that, and the other. Did I get that right? And try not to do it in a snarky way. Do it I just want to make sure that I got it right before I answer. It's such a simple technique. And it gives him a chance to rethink what he said. Be assertive, but not aggressive. By the way, I had a situation that I was talking about at lunchtime where I could have come out of a place of vengeance. Do any of you know that place? I just want to check if any of you have ever been there, where somebody does something and you know it wasn't fair, so you think, I'll get them. And it was really interesting because I have to tell you that something happened to me this week. And I knew I had every right to act out of anger and reaction. And I went, I'm a bigger person than that. I have learned better than that. I do not have to react now. What I'm going to do is to play a very low profile for about a week and see if anything shifts and changes, to see, do people treat me with respect and do they value my presence? And if the answer is yes, then I will stay, regardless of my ego. And if they don't, then I will go, knowing I gave them a chance and myself a chance to not react out of anger. For how many of the viewers on at the moment, how many of you know you are people pleasers? Because this is also part of learning assertiveness, is to stop being a people pleaser. Good night, Nana. Have a great night. And give Rick a hug from us. Which is to learn to not be a people pleaser. Number one, think about the number of times in your life that you have said yes when you know you should have said no. Do any of you relate? And if you have an example, it would be wonderful. Where you have said yes when you knew instinctively the answer should have been no. Okay, Jodi's saying she was a people pleaser, but she's in recovery with a few 2x4s along the way. And that's being assertive, Jodi. Do you understand that? When you can see that that's what you used to do, but now that you think twice about it, that is that you've learned some assertiveness. You don't have to please everybody to be a good person. Remember that quote at lunchtime today where it said, Warren Buffett, one of the richest people around, said, what you need to know is that the very rich people in the world have spent more time saying no than saying yes. They very rarely say yes. I thought that was interesting. Truly successful people spend very little time agreeing with everything. They will sidestep it, or they just won't agree with it. They don't agree with it because most of the things that people bring them, imagine if they said yes to every deal that anybody bought them, right? Because they know they've got money. And if you want to stop being a people pleaser, take your time. If somebody asks for a favor, take time to think about it and check whether you really have time to do that favor and check whether you really want to. I wonder if any of you have had that happen, where somebody says, oh, I'm really busy and, Jane needs to be picked up from the kindergarten. Could you do it for me? How many of you instinctively say yes, rather than checking whether this really does suit you to do this? And so, I just want you to be very aware of where you do that. You say yes without thinking. I had it happen where I had a friend of mine who had an issue and she was down on her luck in many ways. And I took her in and I helped put her back on her feet. And what happened was something went wrong with her car, and I offered to help her get it fixed. And then 2 weeks later, something else went wrong. And she sort of looked at me and I said, if you're waiting for me to offer to pay again, I know you've got family. And I have helped you once. And that's my gift to you. I know the chances of my ever seeing that money again is very slight. But Please don't ask me twice because I just don't, I'm not a bank. I wish I were, because then I'd probably lend it to you, but unfortunately I'm not. Here's another one that some of you may relate to. How many of you feel that you over apologize for things? For example, what happened to me this week was I said something and it was construed by somebody else to be rude. And I could have fought it left, right, and center and given them 20 minutes worth of excuses as to why that wasn't true and it wasn't fair. But for the first time, I must be finding some sort of peace here, some sort of serenity, because I really thought it through and I thought, I could spend a lot of time trying to justify what I did, and they're still not going to agree with me. I just know I didn't do it from that place. And the strongest me I can be is to know that not punish them, not retaliate, but just let them make their own decision. That's their right. If they really believe I'm an evil person, then that is their right. But I'm not going to fall into that trap. I'm just going to carry on being me. I am only responsible for my behavior. I know my intent was not to be nasty. If they saw it that way, that is their stuff, not mine. I wonder if that makes sense to anybody. Right? It's like, I'm not going to waste my time so much trying to explain everything. So here's another one for those of you who are people pleasers. Limit the time you spend helping other people. Limit your availability to help other people. And by the way, say, sure, I'd like to help, but let's try and get a few other people on board as well. All right. So that you haven't got total responsibility. So say, let's get a team of people together that can help you. I don't want to be the only one because that would be too much responsibility. And I have too much on my plate right now. So who else can we get on board with this one? Well, you're the only one I know that will help me. Well, I will help you, but I'm not taking responsibility for it. I will help you for an hour a week. If that is good enough, then that's great. You've got a yes from me. Do you understand? You're limiting it to 1 hour a week, or you're limiting it to one telephone call, or you're limiting it, make sure that you keep control of the amount of time. Because I think you've all had that situation where you have said yes to somebody on something, and what you thought was a 10-minute task turned out to be a 3-week one. If it is too much for you to handle because of your stress load, because of your lifestyle, because of what's going on with you at the moment, then have the courage to say so. I think we get caught up with saying yes because we think people won't love us anymore if we say no. I want to tell you that one of the ways, Jodi, and I wanted to give you this as well. One of the ways, for example, if my friend Marnie called me up and said, "Hey, Sal, can you help me on Saturday?" I would say, "Marnie, I would love to. You know that." However, on Saturday, this is what I have to do. So I'm not going to be available. And it breaks my heart. Can we pick another day, or can we find somebody else to help you? Do you understand? It's like I can say, yes, I would love to help you because that would be my truth. But I can also say, but I'm busy on Saturday. The whole point that I made to the realtors, which is, I understand that I will get maybe one day's warning that you want to show the house, but, please try not to make it Fridays or Sundays because those are the days I broadcast. And they sort of gave me that look like, are you trying to sell your house or not? And I said, hey, I understood that look. I said, you're thinking to yourself, if you get the buyer, you want them to come when it suits them, not when it suits me. But, this is my life and this is my house and this is my peeps. And therefore, I asked, if you remember, if possible, do not make it on a Friday or a Sunday. I didn't say never, just if possible. And so do you understand? That is my right. I could say, don't do it on a Friday or Saturday. My answer is going to be no, because I'm going to be talking to the peeps. But I know you wouldn't want me to say that either. Now, the other thing was, I had said to you that, the good news was that um, even if they're showing the house, I just go to the trailer and I do the broadcast from the trailer. So that was okay for me. But now I'm going to be selling the trailer, I believe, on Saturday. I will only believe that when all the documents are signed and I've got the money in my bank. Do any of you understand that? At the moment, it's a possibility. I'm going to sell it on Saturday. It will be a done deal when I have the money in the bank and the documents are signed. Does that make sense? I'm not presuming nothing will go wrong with it or whatever. I am learning to have low expectations of things and be pleasantly surprised. I'm hoping that resonates with somebody. Until the deal is done and they have driven it off my property, it is not sold. It is possibly sold. And, I really used to spend so much of my life over expecting things. And I can really, with tears in my eyes when I think about it. Excuse me, I'm having my fiber fill. By the way, just so you know, this is 3 mandarin oranges with the peel, 2 complete apples with the core and the pips and everything else. Mandarin oranges. Oh, and about a handful of baby carrots. So good. Lots of fiber. Tastes good. I try and drink about 2 of these a day. And the reason that's fairly easy to do is because it tastes good. But, it was really funny. I've learned that actually leaving, and you probably think I've got a really fancy machine, right? I don't. But I do have a blender that will crush ice. If it will crush ice, it will do what I need it to do, which is to crush apple pips and cores and things like that. So you don't have to buy a really fancy thing. Sometimes just a regular, I think I paid $20 for mine, maybe 30 tops. All right, but it actually does crush ice, so I know it's got a strong motor in it. And I also bought a name brand that has a strong motor in it. You know what I mean? Because I wanted to make sure that it could do the job. I don't want to buy something that I've never heard of that maybe thinks that it can do the job. So how many of you understand now that being assertive is not being mean? In fact, it is the opposite. When you are assertive, you don't have to let yourself down. Right? You don't have to get angry. I'm practicing it too, by the way. You don't have to get angry. In fact, if you get angry, you were not being assertive. You were being manipulated and you lost control. Being assertive is where they can say whatever they like to you and you go, yep, I heard that. I just want to check if I heard it correctly. Blah, 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 blah. And you go, wow, I just need to tell you that really hurt. But I'll just think about that for a while rather than react. And maybe we can revisit this tomorrow. And, to me, it's like if I can keep my control when isn't there that a famous quote somewhere? If you can keep your control when everybody around you is losing theirs. There is a quote like that. I wonder who said that. Yeah, but that's the basis of it, right? Which is, when you look at really good leaders, that is what they're capable of doing. They're able to stay in the present when everybody else is panicking. And I don't know about you, but if I were in a fire or in a life and death situation, I would much rather have somebody who said, guys, this is pretty scary. I totally understand it. Let's head in that direction now. I don't want somebody who gives me a 20-minute dissertation as to why we should do it. I want somebody who can make a decision and help me. help myself. And that's the direction we need to go. Now, could they be wrong? You bet. But the truth is, I think we all know that that is what we do. Jodi, understand that being assertive is when you can respond, not react. You are so scared of your reaction that you do not respond. And you're not alone. I know that. And think about that. When you hear it, say to yourself, I choose to respond, but not react. How about that? Would that make a difference? And so, I look at all these things that we've been talking about, and I believe that in the coming weeks, I'm going to have lots of examples for you. And I just want to know if these are helping you at all. For those of you, who work through the stuff that I did at the lunchtime broadcast as well, do these real life examples help you see things more clearly? Oh, it's by Rudyard Kipling. Really, Jodi, from the poem If. Oh, wait a minute. Thank you. Well, let me get that poem up because I think it's really important. Thank you, Jodi. You're a wonder. Hang on. We can do this because that's what Google is for, right? Hang on a second. I've got everything except the poem, of course. Here we go. Maybe that's it. All right, people. Come on, give me that poem. Okay, I got it, but it's so completely out of focus that I can't read it. Hang on. Hi, Kiss. Good to see you, honey. Hang on one second. Let's find this. All right, here we go. Let's remember these words, all right? If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowances for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired of waiting, or be lied about, don't deal in lies, or be hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster, and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of a pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about the loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they're gone, and so hold on to what there is of and so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will to say to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings and not lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more. You'll be a man, my son. So, Jodi, we need to have a link to that poem because I'm pretty certain that some people may want to print that out. And thank you for finding who said it. Yeah, as I was saying, I'm going, yeah, I've heard those words before somewhere. If you can keep your head when everybody around you is losing theirs, and I'm going, where did I hear that? So thank you. It is a beautiful poem, and hopefully I did it justice. So as we get to this point, is there anything else where you have found that somebody did something to you or said something about you and you felt less than? Because if people make you feel less than, that is your problem, not theirs. Do you understand that? That's the point that I really am trying to make. People do not make you feel less than, you do. Jodi, people do not make you freeze. Your fear of what you might say in truth makes you freeze. You see, I believe now, and when I understand this a bit better, that the times, I'm a Me Too person. The times that I have frozen, and that's, I have gone numb in some situations like that. I realize the reason I go numb is because I felt so helpless at the time. And what happened was that the tape would replay and I would feel helpless. And you know that it happened to me within the last 20 years where something happened to me and I went numb. And when I replayed that whole scenario, because I do that now, I replay things that I go, why did I do what I did there? I need to understand it better. And I will replay it in my mind. And when I replayed it, I realized there was a voice tone attached to it. There was some manipulation attached to it. There was this, that, and I went, oh, those are all the key things that made me go numb because that's what made me go numb so many years ago. And the interesting thing was that the next thing I did was to say to that person that, I really need to tell you that I am not going to be seeing you again. And they said, what? Why not? And I said, because you didn't listen to me when I asked you to. And it was important to me, and you knew my history. And they're saying, what? And I said, let me explain it to you so you understand, so you don't do it to somebody else. And I did explain it. Oh, well, it was just a mistake. I said, no, there was nothing like a mistake about it. You wanted your needs met, and you were prepared to do whatever it took to manipulate me to get your needs met. I just want to tell you, you don't get that chance again. Because what you have told me is my needs are not important to you and your needs are. And that is not a relationship I care to have. And I want to tell you, that person spent 6 months trying to get me to change my mind, and I didn't. Because what I do know is now, you don't get to do that to me, right? And so to me, I realized that in that moment, I did act in an assertive way. You know, do I wish that I'd been able to do it in the moment before I went numb, Jodi? You bet. Like you, all right? I wish I'd been able to find the words in the moment. But, I feel that each time I practice that assertiveness, that I will get stronger because I have to believe that I am important enough, Jodi. I have to believe that nobody gets the right to do that to me because that is not nice and it's not love and it's not anything except, you know, what it is. And so being assertive is not about getting angry. I wasn't angry. And I wasn't rude to the person concerned. I just said, I really just need to say that I'm going to say goodbye, and I mean goodbye. But no, no, but. But give me another chance. No, I don't have to. That's so unfair, and that's maybe true, but I have made a decision, and the decision is that you chose to look after yourself and you did not listen to what I told you, and that is your right. I choose not to run into that again in my life. I know what it brings me. And I don't know about the rest of you. I'd rather be alone than put up with that sort of BS again. It's like I really it's like I deserve to be treated with respect. And if you choose not to do that, that's your right. That's your right. But just don't expect me to let you into my life because you're not going to be in my life if you treat me like that. Oh, I just made a mistake. Yeah, you did. Yep, that's true. The answer's still no. So to me, this whole business about assertiveness is not about being angry or rude. And I don't know about you guys, but when I do get angry or rude, I never feel good about it. Do you? After I've been angry or rude, I keep reminding myself they got me. They triggered me enough that I reacted out of anger or I was rude. And that does not make me happy. Yeah, I can see Jodi reacting. Got that right, buddy. Big mistake. Yeah. And Jodi, I gave up the yacht and, all the other things that went with it. But, I really didn't care anymore. Those things used to be important to me. They're not important to me anymore. It's like looking after me is really important to me. And so, so I look at it and I go, how many of you believe that we would have been different in our lives had somebody taught us these things earlier on? And part of me goes, I don't want to be angry at not being taught this correctly as a child or as a young adult, even. But I think it's the reason I spend so much time with young people because I want them to know this is not okay. Right? I want you to know what I didn't know. Um, and I want you to understand that this is not okay, for somebody to for example, force you to sign a contract that you don't want to do. One of my greatest moments actually was to protect a coworker from from the then chairman of the company that I was working for, because the company wanted him to sign a contract on something, and he, thank goodness, brought it to me first and said, Sal, they want me to sign this. What do you think? And I read this contract and I just looked at it and I said, don't sign it. And he said, they say I've got to if I want my paycheck and I need my paycheck. Do you understand the manipulation on this? I said, okay, then I'm going to tell you to do something, but you need to do it like an actor winning an Oscar. And he said, what's that? I said, sign it. But as you're signing it, very quietly and without telling them, right underneath it, signed under duress to get my paycheck. He said, what? I said, put those words under your signature and initial them. And guess what? They said, sign the document, we'll give you your paycheck. He signed the document. And literally, he was just writing that underneath when they gave him the paycheck and he walked out. When he came back and told me, I said, do you have, did they give you a copy of it? He said, yes. I said, you take this straight to the labor board right now. He said, what? I said, you take this document that you signed under duress to the labor board right now. He said, why? I said, you'll be amazed what they'll do for you. Nobody has the right to blackmail you into giving you your paycheck. That is not a right. So do me a favor, go to the labor board. And he said, what will happen? I said, you're going to end up with a lot of money. Probably won't have a job and neither will I, but you're going to end up with a lot of money and you deserve it because this is wrong. And you already know that if they can do this to you, they can do other things to you. And I might not be here. I'm pretty sure I won't be. And guess what? He ended up with a lot of money. A lot of money, believe you me. And I ended up without a job for giving him that advice. How many of you know I didn't care? Because I told the truth to an employee, and the company punished me for telling the truth. The employee asked me for a bit of advice, and I gave him the best advice that I could, which is when you've signed it, write these words underneath. I've got enough of a legal mind to know that that discounts the signature. I don't know if any of you know that, but if you're being forced, almost got a gun to your head to sign something you don't want to, write the words underneath, signed under duress. If you don't know the word, duress, signed under duress, which means, I didn't sign this willingly. Or just write, I did not sign this willingly. But the legal term is duress. So to me, I have never regretted giving that advice, even though I lost the job. It was the right thing to do, people. That's the right thing to do. I was a manager of this person. My job as a manager, in my view, is to protect them. It's not just to do what everybody on high wants me to do. My job as a manager, in my view, always was to protect the people who work with me because they do not have the power or the wherewithal, perhaps, to be able to protect themselves. So as their manager, and I wonder whether those of you, like I'm thinking about Beth, I'm pretty sure Beth feels the same way as well, which is, yes, our job is to manage people for the boss, but it doesn't mean we get to treat them badly because of the boss. And so to me, it's happened to me a number of times in my life where I have literally put my job on the line to protect people. And I quite honestly, it's never been an issue for me. It's not a maybe. And I've had bosses say to me, I pay you, you have to do what I say. I said, no, I don't, actually. I don't. But you're right, you do pay me. But you do not pay me to lie, and you do not pay me to treat people badly, and you do not pay me to manipulate them or to blackmail them. And if you want to take that issue to court, I'll be happy to stand up and talk about it. So how about you give me a severance package that I can get out of your hair? And do you know how many times I got one? And do you know why? Because in a court of law, if he stands up and says, but I told her to cheat and lie and do whatever, and I stand there and say, yes, Your Honor, he did tell me that. But that was wrong and against the law, and certainly not my job as a manager. Guess which way the law looks at it. Right? So I knew if you want to take me to court, I don't have an issue. And did I have the money to go to court? No. But would I find it on principle? Yes. You see, there are times in your life where you need to stand up and be counted, and it won't go well. It's happened many times in my life. But as I look back on those moments, I am happy for my assertiveness, and I am happy for the fact that I knew what was right and what wasn't. And I think instinctively we all know what's right. Jodi, I am certain that the reason you freeze when people treat you badly is it's not the first time in your life. And what happens to you is you are such a polite person that you know what you want to tell them, but you don't know how to say it a different way. So you need to practice what you can say. And that's why I'm saying start by just repeating their ugly words to them and see where that gets you. But do it with kindness and a smile, and you'll be surprised. You go, I'm sorry, did you just say da, 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 da? But do it with humor, all right? Do it with anything, but get those words out of your mind and back to the person who gave them. And you will be absolutely fascinated at the effect that that has on people because they don't want to hear their own words come back at them. And by the way, I've even done it where I've turned to somebody else that happened to be in the waiting room with me. Was I the only one that heard that? I want to make sure I got it right. I think you said, "You are a stupid," and you go, "Did you really say that? Or did those words just come out of your mouth without you realizing you forgot to close your mouth?" Because I've done that. Right? But the point is, you call them on their stuff, Jodi. You call them on their stuff. They didn't get away with it with you. And if you do that, they will not do it again because they know what's going to happen. They know that you are not going to be walked over just because you happen to have a walker or a wheelchair or lymphoderma or brown hair instead of black or whatever it is. You're only 5 foot nothing instead of 6'4". It doesn't matter. The point is you don't get to treat me like that. There is a consequence. And if we all learn that consequence, and if we all learn that we have the right not to be treated that way, then you understand people won't treat us badly as much. Some will, because they haven't learned yet. Some will actually try it twice. Some maybe more. But if we just stay solid, that you just don't get to treat me like that. I'm sorry. If you do something nice for somebody and they treat you like rubbish afterwards, just don't have revenge. You just know next time they're in trouble, you don't have to do anything. Nyasha, I think today's broadcasts, both of them, are very important for you. So whenever you can, um, please make the time to listen to them both. That would be my recommendation. I don't know if the viewers here would agree, but yeah, Jodi, I really want to thank you though for allowing us to talk to the issue. And I want you all to know the difference between assertiveness and anger. There is a complete difference. And you see, assertiveness is about keeping control and not being out of your kind self. Anytime you act in anger, anytime you think about revenge, anytime you go out of your own integrity, they won that battle. You didn't. When other people cause you to act the way you choose not to, they have manipulated you and you have not had the assertiveness to hold true to who you are. Am I making this clear? I have had so many people tell me what I should and should not do in my life. And I used to bend like the pretzel. And now, well, if only you did this, that, and the other. Um, and I'm going, yeah, I'm sure you're right. I still carry on doing what I want to do because this is my life and I get to live it my way. And whether that is successful in their terms or not, I really don't mind. You see, I want to go to bed each night and go, did I do my best today? As you know, I have a personal creed. Oh, Nyasha, as you will hear, it's very hard. It's hard for Jodi as well, Nyasha. It's hard for everybody. And that's why I am encouraging you, and that's why I want you to listen to these two broadcasts and listen to them time and time again. I want you to understand that you need to practice this. And you might not get it right a few times, but keep practicing it until you get it right. I want you to make sure you understand that what people say to you does not affect who you are. It's just what they say. It is if they say something and you respond out of anger, if you respond out of revenge, if you respond out of any negativity, that is on you. You did not keep control of you. And I honestly, Isabel, I know that you have lots of instances where things, you know, absolutely, take control. And I understand that because I've been there and I totally get it. I look at you all and I know you want to learn because you keep coming back. You know what I mean? It's like you obviously want to learn because that's why you're here. And I want to tell you that every time that it helps one person, I am so happy. And so don't try for me, Nyasha. Do not try for me. Try for you because you are the one that's important, not me. You don't have to please me, Nyasha. I want you to please yourself. Yeah, I do believe you can do it. I do believe you can do it because you keep coming back and trying to get the next piece of the puzzle. That tells me you want to learn. People who want to learn normally succeed. And learning is not easy, Nyasha. Ask Jodi, ask me, ask anybody. I assure you, I had to learn all these things as well, and I'm still learning them. And as you will hear from the broadcast at lunchtime, every day these things happen to me. And every day I have to protect who I am. And sometimes I need to vent. And Nyasha, when you need to vent, it's okay to write to me. I'm happy to do that. But, because what I realize is when I need to vent is when I need to let out that anger. And I want to thank Jodi for always being there for me when I need to vent. Well, listen to this, Nyasha, bless your heart. You're saying, I know I don't have to, but because you are so nice, I'm going to try and get it right. Don't do it for me. You see, again, you're trying to please me. Don't do it for me. Do it for you, right? You deserve to learn this skill, and it is a skill. Jodi, do you feel you got a slightly better handle on it now? Because we spent 6 hours, no, 4 hours anyway, um, bashing this into your brain. No horns, right? So the thing is, Jodi, if you find the horns come out, by the way, Nyasha, she's talking about when the devil comes out in her. If you find that the horns come out, just score yourself for that day, Rude person 1, Jodi 0. Make it a joke. And feel free to write to me and tell me about the joke. You know what I mean? Go. The score was idiot 1, Jodi 0 today. Make fun of it. Because if you can make fun of it, you can start getting control of it. If you can stop feeling angry about it or guilty about it or less than about it, just go, it wasn't my stellar moment today. They got me. I think I said that to you yesterday or the day before, Jodi. So and so 1, Sal 0, right? That's what I do. When people trigger me and I allow them to trigger me, and by the way, for those of you who don't know what triggering means, is that they say something and I get angry. That's a trigger, right? They press my button and I reacted. When that happens, I score it now. I go, okay, well, I lost that one. Because I'm trying, like Nyasha, I'm trying to be better than that. I'm trying to remember, as I said, the Michelle Obama quote, when they go low, I want to go higher. I want to keep control. I don't want to revenge. I don't want to be nasty. I just want them to have, they can have their view. That's fine. And so in terms of that online game, I'm going to let you know what happens, whether they end up booting me out of the game or whether I end up, I got totally demoted down to a regular person when I was a co-leader. It was just like, how many rungs did they drop me? I don't really care. Because you and I both know I'm a really good player. And I'm smart as a wagon load of monkeys. And there are an awful lot of strategy tips that I gave them that worked really well for them. So they can carry on leaving me out of the picture if they want to. And if I cease to feel needed, I will find a new pond to play in. How long is this going to take, Mama Sal? Would you believe I'm okay with what the boss said? Well, not okay, but I now realize that maybe the world thinks I'm physically challenged. And, if you could just say, and I am, all right? If you cannot physically do what everybody else can you understand, Yasha? That is not rude or nasty. It's true. I am physically challenged because I'm 72, about to be, all right? Because I can't do what I used to do. I don't take that as an insult. I wear it as a badge. Jodi saying, I'll be crying very shortly. Those fools that demoted you. No, they're not fools. They're playing their game. And, as I said, I know how valuable I am as a human being and as a player. I play a smart game. And, you know, they, I am not irreplaceable. They'll find somebody else just as good or nearly. Good, Nyasha. Well done. I'm proud of you. She's saying, I don't sit with them anymore or reveal my illnesses now, but I change my way of action. Yes, you understand. That's that's what I kept saying, and I'm so glad you understand that now. You only discuss your illnesses with safe people. Now, Jodi, you're presuming I didn't do anything wrong. I may have done. Um, and I'm not saying that I totally didn't. But I certainly didn't deserve the reaction that they did. It was a reaction of a reaction because I upset somebody. And that person has a very low anger melting point. And I'd watched it happen to other people. It's not really important, but just know that we managed to go right up. We literally went like this right up to the top of the tree. Just about, we are in the top league in a matter of uh, um, 6 weeks or something. And I had a hand in that. And I'm not saying that if I left, they would not be there still, because we learned the skill. But how quickly could I take another team there? I've learned a lot now. And you know what really is good? What is really good is we are all at a level, say around about level 50 to 60, and the people we are beating at a level 150 and things like that. Can you imagine? No, I don't want to be their rival. That's not what I want, Jodi. That would be revenge. I don't want that. I want to help another team. But do you understand the difference? I want to be appreciated by another team if this one can't appreciate me. I don't want to have revenge. Ugh, why? I'd really let them play their game, let them enjoy it. I hope they win. I'm not into winning as being my goal. It's not about winning for me anymore in my life. Yeah, sure. I think you're beginning to understand that as well. It's not about revenge. It's about, how do I live in peace? I don't want to be angry all the time. I don't want to feel. Yeah, I enjoy playing the game, Jodi. You're right. That's what I enjoy. I enjoy helping people and helping other people succeed. And so to me, by the way, I think I'm still their number 3 player. Can you imagine? That must be very difficult. And they've promoted people way lower than me. And I'm going, oh, that is so cute. And do you know why they're yes people? They will say yes to whatever they say. And I'm not going to do that. If I think you're doing something wrong, I'm going to tell you. You don't have to agree with me, but I am entitled to my opinion, and I will give it. I actually said at one point, I will try very hard not to give my opinion, but I can't guarantee anything. At any minute now, they're going to have to ask for my opinion on something, and I can choose not to give it. And, they might ask me, why didn't you put in your 2 cents worth? I see what happens to me when I give you my truth. So, everybody, think about it this week. If you do nothing else this week, take something you've learned out of these 4 hours of broadcast today, something, and try it. Try not to react out of anger. Try some of the skills that hopefully I have given you. I am going to continue to talk to you about the challenges that happen to me, my stress load, and everything else. By the way, I thought that I would tell you that one of the things that really worried me is I have no idea how to sell a trailer. And I want you to understand it. No idea how to do that. Yeah, I bought them, but I've never sold one. So, do you understand that who do I go to? I go to Yvonne. All right. And I went to Yvonne and I said, Bonnie, how do I do that? And she looks at me and she laughs and she goes, it's a legal bit of paper, Sal. And she knows I don't like legal bits of paper. They scare me. And so I said, okay, fine. Tell me how I do that. And she said, don't even worry about it. I have to go there today. And I didn't really know where there was, but I went, okay. And guess what? She came home with the piece of paper that I need. And she just said, you just fill in these blanks here and take it to here and it's done. I went, thank you. And by the way, if I start filling it out and it scares me, I will call for Yvonne to come and help me. Because you see, I am not stupid. I just have an unusual fear of legal documents. And it's okay. And Yvonne knows that and she helps me. So this is not that I'm stupid. I have this fear. I am capable of doing it, but sometimes I freeze, Jodi. Does that make sense? Sometimes I freeze when I see a legal document. I get scared I'm going to do the wrong thing and they're going to throw me in jail and they'll never let me out again. How stupid is that? But it is a fear. And who I am is who I am. Okay, Isabel, enjoy your homework. And by the way, see a lot of these things in your life this week. You'll be amazed how many you see now that you know. Big hugs to you. All right, everybody. I hope this has helped. And I hope that somewhere in the big world of the internet, this helps somebody out there as well. If you have watched this 2-part series and it has helped you, please leave a note so that I know it was worth doing. And please share it with people that you might know that need that help. Because, this is the whole thing. It's not just about you. It's who do you know that struggles with being assertive? Maybe I can help somebody else just by you sharing the video or the 2 of them. All right, everybody. And Jodi, thank you so much for your support after the lunchtime broadcast got nuked by Chrome or whatever nuked it. I really appreciated the fact that you made yourself available to help me restart the system so that I could do tonight's broadcast. I really, really appreciate the time you give me. To everybody, please thank Jodi for being my admin and looking after me so well as she does on every broadcast. And to all of you, look after yourselves. Be at peace with who you are. Because although we are all learning to be better people, who you are in your true, authentic self is a really nice, kind, generous, decent person. And any time that anybody triggers you enough to stop being that, they took control of you. And that is your problem, not theirs. Be who you want to be, not who you keep blaming them for making you be. Yes, say what you mean what you say, but be kind. You don't have to be nasty. As my friend Marnie always says, be firm, be fair, be friendly. All right, everybody, have a super weekend, and I'll see you on Sunday, God willing. Bye-bye for now.